Hello everyone, you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. My name is Amaka. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this top, the top you're seeing on the thumbnail. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. So this is the fabric I'll be using for this project. Now this fabric is 1.5 yards of fabric and it's by 60 by 60, and this is the belt head I'll be using for this project. I'm going to be using this belt head for the waist part. So let's get started. So this is my basic bodice. I have a tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice. I'm going to leave the link of that video in the description box below so that you can check it out later. Now I'm going to briefly explain what I did here. This is my neckline. My neck width is 3 inches and my neck depth is 1 inch. Now this is half of my shoulder measurement. From my shoulder measurement, I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant and I connected it to the neckline. From my shoulder slant, I had to impute my armhole depth. I used half of my armhole measurement as my armhole depth. Now this is my chest point. This is my waist point. This is the full length of the top and this is my hemming allowance. Now let me label these lines. This is my chest point, my waist point, the full length of the top and my hemming allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do is to find the midpoint of this line. This is the midpoint of this line. Now on my chest point, I'm going to take my bust measurement on my chest point. My bust circumference divided by 4 gives you 9.5 inches. And I'm going to use ½ inch for ease plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. So I'm going to connect this point to this point with my armhole curve, just like this. On the waist point, I'm going to take my waist measurement on the waist point. My waist circumference divided by 4 gives you 8 inches plus ½ inch for ease and 1.5 inches seam allowance. Now this is my lower waist. This is my lower waist point. You know, this is a crop top. From my shoulder to my lower waist point is 20 inches. It's a crop top. So now on my lower waist point, I'm going to take my lower waist measurement on my lower waist point. Now my lower waist measurement is almost the same measurement with my waist measurement. So I'm going to mark these 8 inches I have here on the full length of the top. So I'm marking 8 inches plus ½ inch for ease and 1.5 inches seam allowance. And I'm doing the same thing on the hemming allowance. And I'll connect the points just like this. Now take note, this is the back panel I'm drafting. I'm drafting the back panel. With the back panel, I'm going to cut out the front panel. So I'll add my shoulder seam allowance. I'm using ½ inch for my shoulder seam allowance. And I'll connect the points. And I'll cut it. So with this back panel, I'm going to cut out the front panel. So I've cut out the back panel. Now this is what I have. With this, I'm going to cut out the front panel. So the back panel was cut on fold, but the front panel, now this is my fabric. This is the fabric I'll be using. This fabric is folded into 2. The front panel is going to be 2. I'm going to cut out 2 of the front panel. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place my back panel on this fabric and I'll use it to cut out the front panel. Now this is the center back. This is my center back. the center back is going to be facing this part, this part that is excess. Now the part that is excess is my center front, now, while the center back is on fold. So the center back is facing the part that is excess, and the part that is excess is my center front. So from this point, I'm going to mark 10 inches. Now this is optional. You can actually use more than 10 inches or you can use below 10 inches depending on how big you want your top to be. Now I'm marking my front neck width, which is 3 inches, and the front neck depth, I'm going to use 7 inches for my front neck depth. So I'll remove this part and I'm going to connect this point to this point. Now my front neckline is going to be a V neckline. So I'll connect this point to this point, and I'll connect this point to this 10 inches mark, just like this. So that's just it with the front panel. Now I'm going to cut the front panel. Now take note, this part is optional. I used 10 inches here, but it's optional. You can use 7 inches, you can use 12, depending on how big you want how big or how small you want the front panel to be. So I'm going to cut it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to start by joining it. I'm going to join the front panel to the back panel. I'll start by joining the shoulders, just like this. I'll place the front panel on the back panel, right side facing right side, and I'll sew the shoulder first, just like this, and I'll sew the shoulders before sewing the sides. So after joining it, now this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do, from this shoulder, I'm going to come down by 3 inches. Now this is where my collar is going to stop. My collar is going to stop here. You know the collar is not that long, so it's going to stop here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the round measurement. I'm going to measure my neckline, and I'll stop on that 3 inches mark. I'll start from the 3 inches mark and stop on the 3 inches mark. So what I have here is 14.5 inches. So I'm going to use this for my collar. Now I'm going to mark half of that 14 inches measurement I took, which is 7 1/4. So I'm going to mark 7 1/4 here. Remember that my neckline is 14.5 inches. So half of 14.5 inches is 7 1/4. Now here, so for the height of my collar, I'm going to be using 3.5 inches. So I'm marking 3.5 inches. Now I'll also mark 3.5 inches here. And I'll connect the points. Now what I have here is 7 1/4. I have 7 1/4 here. So I'm going to add 1 inch to this 7 1/4, and that gives you 8 1/4. So I'm going to mark 8 1/4 here. And I'll connect the points. I'll connect this point to this point. From here, I'm going to come up by 1 inch, and I'll connect this point to this point. So this is my collar. Now I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to place this on my fabric and cut out two of these. I'll cut out two of these and I'll add my seam allowance all around it. Now I'll cut out my collar. This part is on fold and I've added my seam allowance all around it. So let me show you how to attach it to the top. So I'll start by hemming this part. I'm going to hem it and I'll stop at this 3 inches mark that I gave. Then after hemming there, I'll hem the lower part and I'll fix my collar. Now before I fix my collar, I'm going to iron interfacing on my collar. So now the next thing I'm going to, after ironing interfacing on my collar, I'm going to place my collar right side facing right side and I will sew. I'm going to sew with, now this is the lower part of my collar. Now I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance and I will stop at this point. I'm going to leave 1/2 inch seam allowance here, which I'm going to use to join it to the top. So I'm also going to sew here and leave 1/2 inch seam allowance, which I'm going to use it to join it to the top. Now I'm going to sew here. I'll start by sewing one part of my collar, joining one part of my collar to the top. So I'll do it and show you the outcome. Now this is my sleeve, my basic sleeve. I have a tutorial on how to draft a basic sleeve. I'm going to leave the link of that video in the description box below so that you can check it out later. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be using slash and spread method here. So I'm just going to draw some lines, which I'm going to cut and which I'm going to slash and spread. So I'll just label it 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and I'll cut it. So after cutting, I'm going to spread it this way on my fabric and I'll cut my fabric. So this is it. Now I've used it to cut out my fabric and this is what I have. Now take note, my fabric was cut on fold. My sleeve was cut on fold. Now this is the band. I'm going to use this part to gather. I'm going to gather the sleeve on the band. You know this sleeve, the lower part is puffy, while the upper part is not, it's not pleated. You understand? The normal part, the upper part is just the way, it's going to be the way it is, like a normal sleeve, but the lower part is going to be puffy. So I'm going to gather the sleeve on the band. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. Sorry guys, I lost a video clip on how I sewed this collar. I started by sewing one part of the collar first before using the other part of the collar to turn it. You're not seeing the seam allowance from the right side and you're not seeing it from the wrong side, but I lost that video clip where I explained how I did it. So for the belt head, you can wear this in two different ways. Now this is the first one. You can bring your top, you can fix in this part first, then you fix it into this hole. Now this is the first one and you have something like this. Now let me show you the second way of wearing this, of wearing your belt head. Now you bring one part of the shirt and you bring the other part and you fix it into the holes again and you have something like this. So this is another way of wearing it. So that's just it with this tutorial. I'm going to wear this top on my mannequin and show you what it looks like. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button, share this video with your friends, share this video in your sewing groups, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.